Hey friend, I'm Brandon Gustafson with Assisted Living Investing. I help beginners like you launch their assisted living business in the next 12 months. Excited to have you here with me today. Today we're going to be talking about how to get a head start on launching your assisted living business in 2025. There's a lot of you that are wanting to do this and getting ready to do things in 2025. The recording of this video, we're in December, and you're, in 2025, I'm going to do this in January, I'm going to hit the ground running. It's going to be great. I want you to be able to watch this and know what you can do today to help you get started. So really excited to help you along the path here as we get things going. As a reminder, I always give away a free resource for you. So I'm going to put this in a ticker down below, and I'm not sure why it's not on there. There we go. So go ahead and get your free business plan checklist. Go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/BP checklist. I can get access to that free resource to really help you make some progress. And we will be chatting today about how to, getting a head start in 2025 for your assisted living business. So for those of you that don't know me, my background in assisted living and who I am, my name is Brandon Gustafson. I own and operate 2 assisted living facilities. I've been doing this since 2020. I operate them out of state as well. I live in Utah, and I have one in Idaho, and I have one in Colorado. So I've been doing this for a little over 4 years now. Operate out of state. I've secured over $1.5 million in SBA funding. I've done 3 SBA loans, so I know that process really well and understand how to get the funding and what that looks like, especially for assisted living. I also have a master's in healthcare administration, so not only have I been doing assisted living for a while, I have a lot of experience in the industry as a whole, and just working with healthcare payers, health insurance companies, having worked just in a bunch of different areas for nonprofits and things in the healthcare industry. So I've got a lot of experience here and have started 4 different businesses as well. So have some experience in just starting businesses up and helping move things along and making sure they're profitable. So as we get into this, there's a few things that I really want you to understand on what you need to do to really help you get started, help you launch and get a head start as you're heading into 2025 and getting ahead of all the other people that are going to wait till January. So I want you to do this now. I want you to really start taking some steps now so that you can make some real and good progress towards launching your assisted living business. So the first thing that I want you to do is set a specific goal. And that word is very important. that is a specific goal. There's a few things that I want you to do as you're writing this goal, and I want you to write it out. I want you to say, what do you want to do? What's the thing that you want to do? And then I want you to say, who do you want to serve? And then I also want to encourage you to think about, where do you want to start this facility? So as it relates to assisted living, this could be, I want to start an assisted living facility, assisted living home, a care home, whatever you want to call it. I want to start an ALF. I want to start my assisted living home. And I want to serve the elderly. I want to serve a mental health population. I want to serve a disabled community. I want to serve mentally disabled. I want to physically disabled. Who do you want to serve? I want to serve this population. And where do you want to start? And I will do this in Atlanta, Georgia. I will do this in North Carolina. I'm going to do this in New York. I'm going to do it in California. I'm going to do it in Colorado. I'm going to do it in Texas. Where do you want to do this? Okay. If you have those 3 components, what you want to do, who you want to serve, and where you're going to do it, and you write that down and you look at that thing, like put this goal somewhere where you can see it all the time. Put it on a note card, put it on your mirror as you're getting ready in the morning to go out and do your work. Put it in your journal, put it wherever you're going to see it frequently, but have it there and look at it consistently. You do that and you have this very specific goal, it's going to start tweaking your mind. You're going to start thinking, how am I going to get there? How am I going to achieve these things? What am I going to do to reach that goal so that I don't look at myself as a failure as I look in the mirror, that you know where you want to go. Okay. So this is number 1. You have to start off with the goal. I was actually just recording a masterclass for the people in my mastermind, and it was all about going back to the basics. And number 1 is dreaming. dream, where do we want to go? And number two is goal setting. And then we got into a few other things. So if you would like a little bit more information on that and how to go back to the basics and help you get really excited about this and how you're going to be successful, go apply to the mastermind, alimastermind.com. Would love to see your application there. So you're going to set this specific goal. Next is I want you to start doing some research. I want you to do some market research. I want to have you look at the different types of licenses that exist and understand what that looks like. There's a lot of you that are healthcare professionals and you watch this and you're really good at typing in, hey, I've looked at this. I know what this license type is. I've taken this course. You're really good at that. And maybe you're lacking in the business side of things or the real estate side of things. There's a lot of you that are real estate people and you want to get into assisted living, but you're like, I don't know anything about assisted living and you need some help. Now, if you're a newbie, type in newbie down below. And if you are one of those people, if you're a real estate investor, I want you to type in real estate. If you are a healthcare professional, type in healthcare. If you're an entrepreneur, just general entrepreneur, type that in down below. If you're something else, type that in. Would love to see who's here. But you have to do this research. You have to understand the market, where you're going to go, what's that look like, how many other facilities are in the area, how are you going to figure all that out, and the competition and how many people are available for the population that you're going to serve, and what's that going to look like. I want you to do this research, what type of license you're looking at, the local municipalities, what type of zoning laws do they have, is it friendly to assisted living or is it prohibitive, do I need to have any kind of special permits? It all depends. When I got started, I started looking at different municipalities here in the Salt Lake Valley. I called about 15 and I've talked with a few of you and I've seen the comments that people say, municipalities, it doesn't matter, you're going to be able to do it. And I tell you from experience, that is not the case, because I talked to 15 different municipalities and I got 15 different answers. And some of them, it was super hard to the point that it didn't make any sense to do an assisted living facility there. And I talked to others that it was super easy and would have been very easy for me to move forward. And then the other, the majority of them are, you got to do this, you got to do that, a little bit of paperwork here. You have to figure out what you're going to do. You have to do the research. You have to make this progress. I can help you do the market research very, very easily. You can do that in the Business Foundation Basics. I've got a link here at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that so you can see what that is. But assistedlivinginvesting.net/BFB, very easy course, and you get access to my market research guide that I update on an annual basis and tells you the top 10 states where you should be investing in assisted living based off of trends of where people are moving. And we're going to update it. And I'm really excited for the 2025 version because of some of the adjustments we're going to make for that to increase and improve that tool. But you got to do the research. You got to feel comfortable about what you're doing there. Number 3 is you got to understand the numbers. The numbers are going to make or break, excuse me, they're going to make or break what you're doing in this business. You have to get a handle on the types of expenses that exist inside of assisted living. So you have to understand that. Even if you don't have the deal, you don't know how to get the numbers, you don't know how to go find that information, you need to start trying to figure that out. I actually have a solution for you there as well. If you go get the business planning guide on my website, assistedlivinginvesting.net/BPG for business planning guide, you can get access to that. And I give you my financials, all of my expenses for my assisted living facilities for both of them. And you can kind of use that and extrapolate and see how much does it actually cost to run this type of a business. And you got to get really comfortable with those numbers, because as much as you're going to hear other people tell you, yeah, you can make $10,000 a month, and it's possible. Like we have had months where we are making $20,000 a month. Like it's very possible for you to get there. But there are also months where money is very tight, if not negative. This is a business. It's a little bit cyclical. You're going to have ups and downs, and it's you have to understand exactly what that looks like, what the expenses are, and what your break even point is. And I want you to understand how to control some of those expenses and levers that you can pull. Do you really need this expense over here, or can you negotiate something that's a little bit lower over there? And then the other thing that I want you to do is get really familiar with the income piece of it and set realistic numbers for income. Understand what that looks like. Again, this goes back to the research, but understand exactly what that looks like in your state. What does the reimbursement model look like? If you're going private pay, what is going rate for private pay for the type of facility you're going to have? Maybe you're going to have this super high end and it's $12,000 a month. Or maybe you're going to have something that's a little bit more basic and just feels like a home, and it's nice and it's cozy, and you're only charging $4,000 a month. Now, if you're going to do that, where does that fit into the whole scheme of profitability? Are you going to be profitable? How many staff do you need? What's that expense going to look like? What about your debt service? Like there's so many things that go into that. And I talk about a lot of that on the YouTube channel. And so you can kind of get a feel for what those are. So make sure you subscribe, like, and ring the bell as well, so you get notified every time I put out content like this. It's going to help you out and make you know exactly what you're getting into. But you have to understand the numbers, understand exactly what's going into this. Do some research, go get something like the business planning guide, and use that to help catapult you into making some really good progress here. Number 4 is making the plan. So you set that goal. You had this goal. I want to start an assisted living facility in Atlanta, serving an elderly population, and that's what I want to do, and I want to do it by July 2025, or whenever it is that you want to do it. You have this really specific goal, but now you've got to create a plan to help you really make some progress and help you achieve that goal. If you're going to get there, you need to create a business plan. You need to have a step-by-step path that's going to get you to where you need to be. You've got to make this plan if you're going to get there. I can help you with both of those. I've got a bunch of resources. But if you need a lot of help and you want somebody to be with you and be your accountability partner with this and really make some good progress, I'd love to invite you to apply to the mastermind, alimastermind.com. I'll talk about some of the other resources here at the end of the video. But make sure you go and check those things out, because the more that you have this plan in place, that you write it down and you have specific goals, you have a roadmap now for how you're going to achieve your goals, what you're going to achieve, how you're going to get there, and action steps for what you're going to do. You have this business plan. It's for you internally, allows you to see what you want to do, see how you're going to make that progress. But also it's going to be this incredible tool to allow you to get funding and make progress as you're trying to move things along. So you have to have this plan. It is absolutely crucial if you're going to make progress and be successful and launch your own assisted living business. Okay. All of that's going to come back over here to building the business foundation. This is the first thing that you have to do. There are a lot of components that go into making that business foundation, and we've been talking about it today. You've got to set that goal. You have to do that research. You have to understand the expenses. You've got to build that business plan. Those are the components that you need to build a solid foundation. Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You have got to make a plan. You have to have these goals. You have to have this vision for where you want to go. If you want to be successful, you've got to do these things. Otherwise, it's just a pipe dream, and you're not going to be successful. As much as I want to help you, you have to take action, or else you're just going to sit there and be like, 99% of the people that watch my videos, and I love you for watching them, and I love helping you and giving you some guidance. But if you don't take action, you're never going to make progress. And so I would love to help you out and help you start taking those steps, start building things so that you can make progress and really hit 2025 and hit the ground running, so you're making some good progress. Business foundation is the first piece of launching an assisted living business. I talk about 5 phases. Phase 1 is business foundation. You can't skip this process. If you do, you're going to have to come back to it, and it elongates everything that you're trying to do. It makes it a lot harder. So you've got to build the business foundation first thing first. Now, if you need some help with that, I have a really cheap, inexpensive way for you to do that, to get you the help that you need. Go check out the Business Foundation Basics Workshop. It's assistedlivinginvesting.net/BFB. It's a workshop. I take you through how to create a business plan, give you the market research guide, and a few other resources. The types of entities that you should have when you're setting this up, from a legal perspective, the importance of underwriting, those types of things. I'm going to teach you a lot about that here in this course. It's an incredible resource, and something I wish I had as I was getting started, because I had no idea what I was doing. And this is a tool that's going to allow you to create everything and get you on the right path to launching that assisted living business. So again, that's assistedlivinginvesting.net/BFB. Now, I'm going to look and see if there's any questions, but as I do that, I'll give you a little bit of time to type up some questions here on our live today. I want to remind you to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell as well, so you get notified every time I put out content like this, so I can help you and allow you to make some good progress and reach your goals and reach your dreams. So yeah, I've got a few questions on here. So Victor, thanks for doing this live, man. Mind if I screen record for a couple of my friends? Absolutely, totally fine. If you screen record, sorry, you asked me that 12 minutes ago. It is live. It's on YouTube, so you can go ahead and share it. You'll be able to do that. But I'm totally fine if you want to do something like that. But thanks for checking, Victor, and thanks for being here as well. Appreciate it. And sorry I missed the comment. Hard to. I'm on one screen and trying to do everything is it kind of throws me off. Miss Sunday, what is zoning? So this is a good question. So zoning is when you are working with municipalities, your local municipalities. So think the city that you live in. You're going to go and look on their website, and they're going to have something. If you just type in that city name and then type in zoning. So let's say I'm in Salt Lake. I would type in Salt Lake residential zoning laws or something like that. You're going to get a zoning map. And when you look at these maps, they're going to tell you, hey, this area of the city is zoned for residential homes. This area of the city is industrial businesses, and this city is commercial. That's the very simplified version of this. So there's different levels. There's different levels of residential. So there's like high density residential, there's medium density, there's low density. So you think apartments, townhomes, cottages, and like private family home, quarter acre lot kind of a thing. So there's going to be different levels, and each municipality calls them different, something different. Like I've seen them as simple as R1234, and I've seen them like R679, and they'll just have like random numbers. So what you have to do is you want to look at the area where you want to be building this home. You want to understand what the zoning is. So, go search Atlanta, Georgia zoning, and then you go and they'll give you a map, and you have to go find the address. And some of these maps are super helpful. They're very intuitive. You can search in them. You can go down to the address. Some of them are a PDF, and you've got to find it on your own. But you can look at them. It will give you a color. That color will be associated with some type of a zoning letter, so called an R1. And then you would go and look and say Atlanta, Georgia, R1 zoning meaning, and it will tell you. Sometimes it tells you on the map, but then you can look at it and you can say, okay, so that means it's this type of residential zoning. Excuse me. And then you could ask it, do Google search and say, does R1 zoning in New York City allow for assisted living or care homes or something like that? So that's the level of research that you want to do to see what you got to see if you can figure it out. If you can't, and sometimes it's really hard to understand and hard to navigate. I actually have a masterclass on how to do this inside of the Mastermind program, so you can apply there at alimastermind.com. But if you can't figure it out, then go and call somebody at the city planning office for where you're trying to do this, and explain to them. I would caution you to use the word assisted living facility, because oftentimes they think nursing home. When you say that, they're not thinking of the residential assisted living facility that you are thinking of doing, and so that's something that you just have to be a little bit careful. You might want to use like care home, or you might need to explain a little bit about what you're doing, but that's what zoning is, and that's how it works. So hopefully that helps you out. Another comment here by Miss Sunday. Does that mean you can get a property and it won't be suitable to set up a facility? It is possible for that to happen. So yes, this is why doing the research and understanding how you're getting into this is very important, because I actually worked on an opportunity a few years ago with somebody, and we checked out the zoning and it made sense, but we also we started talking to the fire department, because you're going to need to get what's called a certificate of occupancy, and the amount of renovations we're going to have to do and the amount of changes we're going to have to do on that specific property made it so I was like, I don't want to touch this, and so I walked away from the deal. And it was an opportunity where it was a homeowner. They wanted to do a conversion. They had talked to me about joining them and partnering, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, and so I walked away. But it is entirely possible for you to have a property and think, oh, this is great for assisted living, and you start going down the path, and then you realize it's not going to work. And so you want to do the research up front, so you understand if it doesn't qualify for it now, do I need to rezone it? Do I need to get a special permit of some kind? What does that process look like? Is it super easy? Like, it could just be an application that you have to fill out, or it could be you've got to put it up and put it out for public comment. You have to go before the city council, and you have to try to convince people to approve it. Like, there's varying levels of what is required, or is it just like not even a possibility in that area? It is absolutely worth checking to make sure that a property is going to work before you get too far down the path. Just so you don't ruin anything and mess anything up. So that's something I just want you to be aware of, that it is entirely possible that a property will not work for assisted living. It's also entirely possible that it will, and you might just have a few hoops to jump through, or maybe very smooth sailing, but you want to spend the time to research and make sure you figure that out. Okay. Victor, there we go. So, every case is different, but the average person starting from the ground zero, how long would you say it'd take to get up and running if starting this path on the first of the year? Just ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, it depends. It really is going to depend a little bit on the path that you want to go. So if you're going to start something, and I actually have a tool that from a profitability standpoint can help you out with understanding this. So if you go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/profit path, just one word, profit path. I've got a tool that you can access there and kind of help you out and help you make some progress, at least from a financial standpoint, to see if it's going to work or not. But if you're doing something from the ground up, and you're buying a house and you're going to convert it, then you could be looking at, it's going to depend on how much renovations you got to do on the house. So, and the timeline of that person, it's very reasonable for you to get that done, I would say, in 6 to 9 months. It also is going to depend a little bit on the amount of time that it takes you to obtain the license from the state. I was watching something from Serge Lepescu the other day. He's another big YouTube guy here in the assisted living space. Great guy, love Serge. And he brought up a really good point. Based off of his experience, I'm going to share what he said. He said he likes to submit his application for his license very early on, knowing that it's going to get denied, but then he is told exactly what needs to happen as he's making progress towards getting the license for the facility, and it also puts him in queue so he can accelerate his ability to obtain the license. So that's just a little bit of a tip there to help you increase your timeline in getting things up and running. So big things there are going to be construction, and then the time to get the license. It really will depend on it, but I would say 6 to 9 months is very reasonable for that. If you're going to buy an existing facility, really at that point you're kind of waiting on the lender and finding the lender and making sure you get them all the paperwork that they need so you can make some progress there. I closed on my first one in about 5 months. Yeah, I think it was 5 months, and then the second one took us about 4 months. So you can get something up and running if you have all the paperwork and you have everything ready to go. It will take you anywhere from 4 to 12 months, I would say. I think it's very reasonable to do that, though, in a 6 to 9 month period. So yeah, it will depend on each individual opportunity, though. Another question here, Victor. One-on-one mentorship is so go into a little detail about it. So right now I'm not doing one-on-one mentorships. I do one-on-one calls. So if you're interested in that, go over to my website, assistedlivinginvesting.net, and go to the contact me page, and we can chat about specifically what that looks like. Typically I'm about $500 an hour to just help you out on a one-on-one basis and one-on-one calls. Or you could apply to the mastermind program, so alimastermind.com. In there, it's kind of a more of a group coaching scenario, and you go apply, and I'll send you all the details for the pricing and everything that's included in the program. But at its core, what we do is you get access to all my courses, so you can have all of that. You get lifetime access to the courses. While you're in the mastermind program, you're also going to get access to the master classes. We do those on a monthly basis, and there's monthly Q&As as well as a group. So anybody that's in there can go in and ask questions. They're live, they're recorded, and you get access to those as well. And then the other piece of that is a community. So we have an online community. If you have questions or things like that, I'm in there multiple times a day to answer your questions, make sure you're not missing anything, that you're not skipping steps. As a part of the mastermind, you get 2 one-on-one sessions with me that are more deep dive. But typically, if you have questions, you need feedback on your underwriting, your business plan, you have questions about zoning and processes that you're going through, you can message me, and then I'll either type you up a message or I'll do a video recording. It's like specifically for you to help you out in your situation. So it's not necessarily like one-on-one coaching. Hey, this is how we do that. It's more of a, hey, I need some help with this. And I give you one-on-one advice, but I put it out there broadly for the group inside of the community. So that's not just you getting the information to help you out. It's advice specifically to you, but that advice will probably apply to somebody else when they're at that phase as they're going through the process. So again, you can apply to that at alimastermind.com. So hopefully that answers your question there. What's your three biggest cons personally of this space? That's a good question. So I would say the things that are the most difficult here are staffing. Number one is hard. It's something that going into this, I always thought that the most difficult thing would be finding residents, and that has not been the case. Staffing has been a much bigger hill for us to climb, and that's keeping fully staffed, or maybe an administrator quits, or those types of things. That has been the hardest part, for sure. Like easily the hardest part. Number two, I would say, is dealing with the regulations. So having worked in Idaho and having worked in Colorado, and seeing the different ways that those different states handle things, and the different regulations and how they handle the regulations and surveys and things like that. My eyes have been really opened into how local government can impact your ability to run a successful business. And so for me, we've decided that we would like to expand in Idaho because it's easier for us to operate. It's a little bit closer to us, just from a distance perspective, but the regulations are far less prohibitive in allowing us to operate an assisted living business, operate a small business. So government regulations is another one. And if you're not familiar with healthcare, or really the healthcare industry, you can still do this. Yeah, it can just be a steeper learning curve, to helping you really make some good progress towards operating a profitable business that is consistently running the way that you want it to run. So that's a big one, just to kind of be aware as you're getting into it, and what you want to do. I mean, I've been in healthcare now for over a decade. Like I'm very familiar with it. It doesn't scare me at all, to work in there, but it can be difficult and very eye opening for somebody that's never been in the industry. And then the third one, for us, I would say being out of state. Banking has actually been a problem for us. So we made a decision not to go with large, like, national chains like Chase or Bank of America or something like that. We wanted something that was a little bit smaller, that was a little bit easier, friendlier, customer service kind of a thing. And specifically working in Colorado, because there's surprisingly not a lot of banks that have branches in Utah and Colorado. That's been an issue for us, but that's kind of a personal thing for me as far as a con, and something that we're just kind of working through at this point. But really, other than that, I mean, yeah, you got to make sure that you keep the beds full. It's very important. If you're going to be profitable, understanding expenses is really important. You need to understand what levers you can pull and how you can manage those expenses. I think is very important for you to get a hold on, because if you don't, you can get upside down pretty quick because you're dealing with relatively large sums of money, and if you don't have your beds full and you don't plan for this up front, and you don't know what that break even point is, or you have a very slim break even point, it can really hinder you financially. So that's something that I think you should be aware of as well. Good question, thank you. So not a good idea to outsource the staffing. Is that an option starting out or too expensive? So if you mean by outsourcing staffing, like going with a staffing agency, that is very cost prohibitive. It is very expensive to do that. Now, if you're talking about like hiring somebody to be your administrator, we did that from day one, and it was a great decision. We made the conscious decision to make less profit, um, and hire somebody to do that work for us. But we also did our underwriting and made sure we were confident in our ability to handle that from a financial perspective before we jumped in. So if you do that and you are comfortable with the numbers, then hiring that person is I think an incredible idea. If you are doing a small facility though, and small is relative in my mind, small is like less than 10, 6 beds, 3 beds, 4 beds is what I hear some of you talking about. When you do that and you get really familiar with the numbers, you're going to find that your pathway to profitability, your ability to do that, and go check out again assistedlivinginvesting.net/profit path for that tool. But you're going to find that your margins are very, very slim if you do not work in the business. If you work in the business and you're able to kind of dictate what you're paying yourself and stuff like that, can help you out immensely. But if you choose to hire out and you have a small facility, it's really hard. I personally, my kind of threshold for where uh, I won't look at opportunities is 10 beds. If it's less than 10, I personally won't look at it. It's just too much risk for me to take. Everybody's different though, and I don't want to be super involved in the business. I want to hire people and I want them to do the work for me. So that's another key component there. So I have underwritten deals that are profitable at 8 beds. So I've seen that before. So you can do it. I have underwritten somebody in the mastermind that is doing a 6 bed facility, and it's profitable, and I think she feels comfortable with it. So it just kind of depends on your situation, your threshold for the amount of risk that you're assuming there, and what that break even point is, and your ability, your confidence in yourself to keep the beds full. So that's something that I would do. But it is, if you're going to hire out a staffing agency, they're super expensive. So I would discourage you from doing that unless it is absolutely necessary for you to run the business. Last question. That's all right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Victor. What work could you do inside for the facility to cut costs until you can afford more overhead? I'm trying to think. What work could you do inside or for the facility to cut costs? Your biggest cost is honestly, and it's not even close, is your staffing. Your staffing is going to take up 50 to 80% of your expenses. If you're lucky, it'll be 40%, but it takes up the bulk of your expenses. The big expenses that you need to be aware of are staffing, your debt service, and you have a little bit of control over that. If you have the existing property, you know what your debt service is going to be, so you can get a really good feel for that. And there's different levers you can pull there, from interest rates and negotiating in terms and things like that. If you're not, so that's the second one. Those two are the biggest. Your third one's going to be your insurance that you need to have for the house. So that's property insurance, liability insurance, and workers' comp insurance. You want to make sure you have all three of those. So that insurance bucket is one. Sorry. Number 4 is mills for the residents, which really is not that much. I tell people what I use when I underwrite is an $8 per resident per day amount. And some of you hear that and you're like, that's ridiculous. There's no way you could you could be serving people. But I've looked at my numbers. I've looked at other people's numbers. It holds true. Actually, I see it less than that often. So you don't spend a ton of money on food, but it is one of your larger expenses. So that's one lever you can pull. Excuse me. So that's one to be aware of. And then your utilities is the other one. So those 5 together, utilities being internet, waste, gas, power, TV, those 5 groups there, your wages, your debt service, your insurance, your food, and your utilities are going to make up 80 to 90% of your expenses. So those are the big levers that you can pull as you're trying to reduce expenses. What you can do up front to cut costs, I don't know. It's really hard. The biggest one is going to be your staffing, and if you can figure out some way to make sure that you're hitting the requirements of the state, figuring out what your resident to caregiver ratio is, and making sure you're still meeting the needs of the residents based off of their care plans. And then reducing your workforce to align with that. That's probably the biggest one you could do. Seeing if there's anything you could do, like getting creative with how you purchase the facility, doing something like a subject to or seller financing to reduce your debt service payment for a period of time in the beginning. That can be another way to help you out with overhead. Seeing if there's ways to negotiate better pricing on some of your utilities is a way to do that. Getting Walmart Plus or something like that to help you reduce your food costs. Trying to get with an insurance broker to help you find better insurance rates. Those are the ways that you can kind of reduce those ones. All the other ones, there's really not much you can do with apart from that. So hopefully that answers the question there. But those are the 5 groups that you really want to be focusing on, and then understanding what that looks like for you and how you can do it. I mean, the other piece of that could be, you could be looking at the areas that you're in and say, over here, this is a little bit more of a rich county or a rich city. It's higher. It's more expensive to live here. And if I just go 10 minutes over this way, it's still a really nice area, but the cost of living goes down significantly. That might be one of your better ways of doing that to reduce your debt service, maybe even reduce the amount of money that you're paying your staff because cost of living is a little bit lower there. Okay. All right. Those are good questions. Thank you, Victor. Thanks, Miss Sunday. Appreciate all the feedback there and the questions. That was really helpful. I hope other people found that helpful. Again, remember to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified every time we do these lives to help you out and help you make some good progress as you're trying to launch your assisted living business. And remember to go grab your free business plan checklist. Again, that's assistedlivinginvesting.net/BP checklist. And go grab that free resource and apply to the mastermind if you feel like I can help you out. Again, that's alimastermind.com. Does residential assisted living sound interesting to you, but you don't know how to get started? At assistedlivinginvesting.net, I'm here to help beginners like you launch their assisted living business in the next 12 months. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for being here, and remind you that it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. Just keep going, keep making progress step by step by step. And I promise you, if you do and you're consistent and persistent, you're going to be successful. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.